Good morning. And welcome. Welcome to the Church of the River in beautiful, somewhat cloudy Memphis, Tennessee. We are a Unitarian Universalist welcoming congregation. We welcome goblins and ghouls and monsters and muppets and saints and sinners and angels and devils and zombies and werewolves and vampires and witches and wizards and warlocks. We welcome the gay and the straight and the cisgender and the transgender. We welcome people of all colors, races, religions, and creeds, the Republican, the Democrat, the Independent, and all the other permutations of the political landscape. We welcome the introverts and the extroverts. We welcome the damaged, the hurting, the healing, and the healed. We welcome you all, a part of the interdependent spider web of existence of which we are all a part. Welcome. And now let us rise in body or spirit and sing from the gray hymnal number 94, What is This Life? Now is the time in our service for the announcements. The first announcement for those of you who may be joining us for the first time in person or online is that I am not Sam Title, the Reverend of this church. He is away today, and we have a guest in the pulpit whom I will be introducing in just a second. I am Christopher Douglas. I am the worship associate for today. I am a member of the church. I am a member of the board. It is not my divine right to do this. You see me here a lot, but please, 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 if you have an enthusiasm for doing this, please see Sam, and we will teach you everything you need to know about how to do this so you see more faces than mine. We do have a guest in the pulpit today. This is one of the reasons I love doing this so much, is that I get to set the table for our guests. Emily Guenther is our guest in the pulpit today. The Reverend Emily Guenther is a member of the clergy and a co-founder of the Fellowship of Avalon, ATC. What does ATC stand for? Aquarian Tabernacle Church. It's a Wiccan church in Memphis. She is also co-owner of the Broom Closet, which I'm sure a few of us have been to. You might have even gotten a tarot reading there from Reverend Sam. The Metaphysical Store here in downtown Memphis. Emily is a regular writer for the Memphis Flyer and the Patheos Pagan. Did I pronounce that right? The Patheos Pagan. She likes to express the divine through teaching, the use of herbs and stones, and meditation. Emily is also a workshop leader and has been a voice for paganism, conducting workshops and panels at conventions across the country. Many who know and love Emily have dubbed her the Witch of Memphis, which she loves but is too humble to call herself for fear of being dubbed the witch with the big ego. So on to our announcements. So for those of you here for the first time, we do try to reserve the parking spaces right outside the door for those who might need a little extra time or extra help getting to your car. There is parking in the Channel 3 parking lot. If you're here for the first time, please don't make a mad dash out the door to go move your car. It's okay. The Girl Scouts will hold their first meeting of the year this afternoon at 3 p.m. in the Mississippi River Room, which must suggest that we did find a scout leader or scout leaders, which is great news. Soup for the Soul will meet Thursday, October 19th at 6:30 p.m. at the home of Dorothy Fest. Please RSVP. For more information, reach out to Laretha Randolph Sargent. Trunk or Treat returns on Sunday, October 29th after the service. All goblins and ghouls and princesses and superheroes and other kinds of monsters are invited to decorate the trunk of their car and pass out a treat. Characters of all ages are welcome. In conjunction with Trunk or Treat will be our first annual pumpkin decoration contest. Bring an already carved or decorated pumpkin to be judged. Matt asked me to pass along to you this ad-libbed announcement that there are clergy appreciation cards in the back of that. Ron, if you turn, Ron is waving in the air just like he doesn't care, to be filled out for Sam. He was not feeling well during Clergy Appreciation Sunday, so for those of you who would like to, Ron, were you going to say something? Okay, so for those of you who would like to cheer and appreciate Reverend Sam through a card, please feel free to do so. There will also be some in the Mississippi River Room. For more details on these and other Church of the River events and activities, email info@churchoftheriver.org. Subscribe to our weekly mailing list and follow us on Facebook and X, formerly Twitter, and Instagram. With no more announcements, our worship service will now begin. For millennia, people have gathered together to hear stories, to root for the underdog, to jeer the evil and the unkind. We see in our stories mirrors to our own lives, where we hope good things will happen to good people and that evil will be vanquished. This morning we gather for story, to cheer for hope and for justice. May Emily's story shed new light in our own lives, and may we know ourselves connected to millions of listeners who have come before us and the millions of listeners who will come after us. Let us worship together. To Unitarian Universalists, the flaming chalice is a symbol of hope, the sacred, the quest for truth, the warmth of community, the light of reason, and more. We light a chalice in worship to create a reverent space for reflection, prayer, meditation, and singing. Reverend Mary Harrington was a UU minister who served congregations in California, Texas, and Massachusetts before her death from ALS in 2010. She was also the mother of our own Reverend Sam Teitel. He writes his sermons from the same desk that she used. She wrote these words that Sam recites each time he lights the chalice. We light this chalice for the challenge of freedom, the goal of equality, and the warmth of community. May all who gather here offer and find the blessings of acceptance, loving kindness, and a grateful heart. Please rise in body or spirit, sing from the gray hymnal, number 306, Sing of Living, Sing of Dying. We have reached the point in our service for the Time for All Ages. Kim Bryan will be leading us, and it's audience participation time.
Good morning. So once again, Time for All Ages is a self-selecting process. So if you're feeling like a young person, you can come on down. And I've invited a few people to come down with me. People who are currently sitting, don't get too comfortable because we're about to get up and move. So just, yeah, it's gonna be okay. Everybody breathe. It's gonna be just fine. A few months ago, I went on a spiritual pilgrimage to the Parliament of the World's Religions, where 200 religions and spiritual practices from all over the world came together to learn from each other and celebrate their own individual communities, where sometimes they feel very isolated as a smaller group, where the bigger groups live further away. One of the groups that I met is called Dances for Universal Peace. Does anybody y'all know about Dances for Universal Peace? Nobody. Okay, excellent. They're all over the world, and the idea is through bringing our hymns and our songs and our dances, we can grow together in a way that's less threatening. Because when we are singing and dancing together, we find a common humanity and a common goal, and it makes those harder conversations a little bit easier. And sometimes too, like kids, we've been talking about all sorts of kind of scary stuff, right? Zombies and ghouls and all sorts of things that can be kind of scary. And sometimes at Halloween, people decorate and it's kind of scary. So one thing that we can do to have it not be so scary and have the world not look so scary is we can sing and dance together, and then sometimes we feel a little bit better. Yes. All right, so I'm gonna teach you this dance. It's called I Planted Seeds, with it being October and harvest time. And the idea is we're gonna think about what seeds are we planting and what seeds have we planted? Because sometimes you work really hard and it's hard to see that hard work pay off. Sometimes it takes a long time before we're able to see what we call like the fruits of our labor. We don't always get to see it right away. We have to practice patience and continue to work hard even though things aren't growing the way we want them to. And when we harvest, we can think about what are we harvesting right now and what are we letting go of? What things do we want to keep? And what things do we want to kind of push aside? The idea in this is we come into a meditative state and gain a little more peace within ourselves so we can bring that peace to the rest of the world. So are you ready? Are you ready to learn this dance? Can we do this? All right. If you are willing and able, stand up. If not, you can do this from your seat. It's all good. Everybody breathe. It's going to be okay. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to plant seeds. So we're going to go down and plant seeds. But when we plant the seeds, nothing comes up. Oh my gosh, nothing came up. Oh dear. So we're going to plant seeds, but nothing comes up. And then all the seeds come up together. So we're doing a helix. It's really hard to do with a microphone. Okay. All the seeds come up together. And then the voice of God is going to tell us to, and we're going to go one direction, harvest what we can. And then we're going to sweep, and we're going to leave the rest behind. Okay, that's the whole song. We're going to be up here doing the movements. I asked my wonderful friends in the awesome little choir if they could sing this with me so I'm not up here singing by myself and we have backup. And we practiced this morning, and I was like, y'all don't even need me to sing. They have got this. It is so good. So thank you, Ben. Thank you, Debbie. Thank you, awesome little choir, for being awesome. We're gonna sing this 3 times. If you just want to freestyle it and do your own dance, you are welcome. The point is not to get every note and every movement right. The point is to be in community with each other, singing and dancing for universal peace, which after this week seems like a really good thing to be doing on this Sunday morning here in Memphis.
You are sacred. You are sacred. You are sacred.
You're sacred.
You are powerful.
You're powerful.
Go in peace.
I'm going to do it.
I'm sorry that Kim can't hear me say as she heads out. That was wonderful. That was cleansing for the soul. So I'm going to ask for some dispensation today as far as the readings are concerned. When I was asked to be the worship associate for today, I was on vacation, and I did not realize that Sam had chosen a couple of responsive readings in the back of the hymnal till after I had spoken with Emily about what she would be speaking, and found a couple of readings that are near and dear to my heart. So if you can permit me to make a last minute change here, the readings will be not from the hymnal, but the first reading today will be from a poem called Outwitted by Edwin Markham. He drew a circle that shut me out, heretic, a rebel, a thing to flout. But love and I had the wit to win. We drew a circle that took him in. The second reading from today is from Warren Zevon. I want to live alone in the desert. I want to be like Georgia O'Keeffe. I want to live on the Upper West Side and never go down the street. Michael Jackson in Disneyland, don't have to share it with nobody else. Lock the gates, Goofy, take my hand and lead me through the world of self. Don't want to wake up with no one beside me. Don't want to take up with nobody new. Don't want nobody coming without calling first. Don't want nothing to do with you. I'm putting tinfoil up on the windows, lying down in the dark to dream. I don't want to see their faces. I don't want to hear them scream. Splendid isolation. I don't need no one. Splendid isolation. I don't need no one. A prayer for today will be a prayer for peace for the Middle East. God of mercy and compassion, of grace, and reconciliation. Pour your powers upon all your children in the Middle East, Jews, Muslims, and Christians, Palestinians, and Israelis. Let hatred be turned into love, fear into trust, despair to hope, oppression to freedom, occupation to liberation, that violent encounters may be replaced by loving embraces, and peace and justice could be experienced by all. Please join me in a moment of silence. Amen. So the reason that the announcements and the gathering of the offerings is done after the anthem is so that nobody has to follow them. Another plug for doing this work of Worship Associate is you have the best seat in the house to hear and feel the awesome little choir. You don't have to crane your neck turning around, and the acoustics are perfect. This is the time in our service when we gratefully receive the gifts for sustenance of this church and its mission. You can donate online by using the QR code at the top of the top of the stairs, by going to www.churchoftheriver.breezechms.com/give/online. You can text to give at 901-350-2686, and as Sam always says, checking in the various forms of social media and tagging and doing selfies and all that great stuff also is of great help to this church and its mission. The gifts for the sustenance of this church and its mission will now be lovingly given and gratefully received.
Good morning, Church of the River. I am Reverend Emily Guenther, as Christopher so lovingly introduced me. I am here today representing one of the Unitarian Universalist sources, and that is the spiritual teachings of earth-centered traditions. I am a Wiccan and a polytheist, which, for the sake of the sermon, means that I worship many different deities who existed perhaps before, but certainly alongside of the God of the Abrahamic faiths. I am one of the clergy and co-founders of a local Wiccan church, the Fellowship of Avalon. I also run a Norse-focused religious group, in addition to co-owning the Broom Closet. And all of these things I do alongside my wonderful partner and husband, Stephen, without whom I would not be here today. I also want to thank Reverend Sam for inviting me here to speak. And I want to say a special thank you to Debbie and Carla and Christopher and the whole Church of the River team for working with me for today. A couple of years ago, Reverend Sam asked me to do an October sermon, there's a theme here, about the witch trials. And when I sat down to research and write, the sermon went from focusing on the witch trials themselves to warning against the ostracizing of others. And if you look at monster stories and myths, many of the monsters are allegories for just that, ostracizing and judging others. In fact, I think Reverend Sam talked a little bit about this earlier this month when he did his Grendel sermon. But the monster I want to talk to you about today is zombies. What do you think of when you hear the word zombie? An animated corpse, shuffling feet, arms outstretched looking for anything to consume. If you notice a zombie, you might see that they're mindless. You know, they have this sort of insatiable hunger for, well, human brains. Zombies were created to scare us, but why do they scare us? What is it about The Walking Dead or World War Z that makes us lock our doors and peep out of the blinds? I think one of the biggest reasons zombies are scary is because they are us. Zombies point out our vulnerabilities. They started out as human, but then turned into these deadly, mindless, relentless monsters. If one person in the world can become a zombie, it could happen to any of us. And in some ways, it is happening to some of us. Each of us has the potential to become a zombie. We're probably not going to turn into a Halloween zombie shuffling around looking for other people to eat. But there is a danger that any of us could become so isolated, so disengaged with society, we might as well be a zombie. Becoming a zombie is a choice, or rather a series of choices. We are each responsible for making the best decisions that we can. Oftentimes, these decisions are difficult or require sacrifice. But we owe it to ourselves, to our loved ones, to our communities, and to humanity at large to make the best decisions that we can make. Zombies show us our vulnerabilities and our choices. Zombies lack certain human traits that make humans, well, humane. Some of these traits are intelligence, communication, and touch. Zombies are known for being mindless monsters who wander the earth, heedless of their surroundings, moving simply on impulse. They are driven by the animal impulse to consume so that they can continue to exist, but that's really about it. Zombies have no thoughts of their own. They do not make plans or have agendas. Zombies do not even understand that their movements or actions can be detrimental to their own well-being. A zombie simply shuffles around looking for the next thing to devour. And if their path takes them in front of a moving car, well, then they walk in front of the moving car. They do not have the intelligence to understand that the vehicle might hurt them. They don't even understand that getting hit by this moving car might prevent them from reaching their goal. Zombies do not reason, and they do not care, not about themselves or others. We are all born with innate skills, instinct, and coping mechanisms to get us through the first few years of our lives. As we live, we're supposed to learn and grow, pick up new skills. And this journey is supposed to last our whole lifetime. So what happens when we stop using our intelligence? What happens if we stop trying to learn new skills or adapt to our changing environment? We begin to feel left out. We then begin to get, irritated perhaps, which can often lead to anger. Lonely people are more prone to experiencing things like addiction, delinquent or violent behavior, and physical health issues. These things become an endless loop, feeding on itself, and then it becomes this downward spiral. And those, my friends, are very difficult to pull yourself out of. When we stop learning, when we stop trying, we put ourselves on the path to becoming a zombie, a creature that exists, but one that is empty inside. To put it a different way, we become NPCs, or non-player characters. The term NPC comes from gaming culture and typically refers to a character that you come across in a game that you have some sort of interaction with, but that character is not being controlled by a gamer. It is simply code that has been built in. The term NPC has made the jump into modern slang and refers to someone who doesn't think for themselves or someone who behaves very predictably. A real-life NPC or zombie likely does not think for themselves or know how to solve problems or how to handle things when life does not go according to plan. They can be recognized as someone who simply parrots what others say, someone who has no interest in critical thinking. Perhaps they are someone who doesn't have many interests or hobbies, any inner life, or any motivation. They simply exist and often seem to do the bare minimum for themselves or others. And they often lack the importance of interconnectedness. How many of us have seen people shuffling around, bent over their phone, sort of heedless of what is going on around them, and you kind of thought to yourself, zombie? Have you ever known someone or seen a character on TV who was so superficial, obsessed with things like new fashion, new trends, new gadgets, and they were completely oblivious to the real world problems or the realities of the world we live in, and you thought to yourself, zombie? Modern real-world zombies can and do exist in people who allow themselves to be controlled by what others tell them or by what capitalism tells them. We should all learn from others. And yes, we do live in a capitalistic society which provides some perks, but also some downfalls. We cannot escape these realities, but we should not let them dictate where our time and money are spent or how we live our lives. Zombies obsess over keeping up with the neighbors who, they're probably struggling a little more than they let on anyway. When instead, zombies should be focused on more important things like love, joy, happiness, grace, compassion, empathy, and making the world a better place, not a shinier one. Zombies mindlessly consume, whether it's brains, technology, fashion, or some other made-up need. One of the staples of zombies is a zombie's inability to communicate. Communication is one of the bedrocks of society. If we cannot communicate in some way with those around us, what happens? Think about the examples you may have seen of people who struggle to communicate. Reverend Sam and I were actually talking something about this a couple of weeks ago. So think of a toddler going through their terrible twos. Think of people who may have dementia or Alzheimer's. Or just think about those office meetings or maybe that toxic relationship where you were not allowed to have a voice or express yourself. When we cannot convey our thoughts or feelings, we get frustrated. And then usually we get angry. Then we start to feel isolated and lonely. And if this inability to communicate goes on long enough and those feelings of frustration and isolation persist, we begin to change. We begin to detach from society, from our friends, and from our family. Zombies scare us because they look like us and were us at some point. Yet now they've been infected with a virus or madness and they're no longer human. Well, I'm sure their bodies are probably technically still somewhat human, but their intelligence, their autonomy, their soul, their spirit is gone. We all know that you cannot get near a zombie without endangering yourself. Zombies no longer have the capacity to distinguish friend from foe or right from wrong. A zombie is a mindless machine that has been programmed to do just one thing: consume. And if you get too close to a zombie, you too will be consumed. So we keep our distance. We do not want to be bitten or infected by the zombies because we all know what happens if you are. I suspect that a zombie's mind is probably too far gone to realize that they're missing out on this basic human need, but I think the rest of us know how important physical touch is. So COVID taught us a lot. It taught us about ourselves, our communities, it challenged us, and maybe, just maybe, it helped some of us realize what is truly important in our lives. One of the things I believe we learned or were made more aware of was that people need human interaction and people need to be touched. Humans are social creatures, but you don't really need me to prove that. You know it instinctively. Positive interactions with other people make you feel good, make you feel happy. And loneliness, that makes us feel bad. And there's an evolutionary reason for that. In humanity's earliest days, when warring tribes and predators were at your doorstep all the time, there was safety in numbers. Now these days, community often means more of an emotional security than a physical safety, but not always. But people are still hardwired to connect, both emotionally and physically, and your brain rewards you when you do that. Hugging and other forms of physical affection cause your brain to release oxytocin, known as the bonding hormone. This stimulates the release of other feel-good hormones and helps reduce our stress hormones. These neurochemical changes make you feel happier and less stressed. Research suggests that being touched can also lower your heart rate and blood pressure, can lessen depression and anxiety, helps boost your immune system, and even may help relieve pain a little bit. So simply put, being touched boosts your mental and physical wellness. Studies have shown that oxytocin makes you feel more generous, more empathetic and nurturing, more collaborative and more grateful, all of which make you a better person. They make you a better partner, a friend, parent, or coworker. Gratitude in particular is such a powerful bonding emotion that many scientists have deemed it the psychological glue that keeps people close together. Touching is also a powerful and universal way to communicate feelings. Just think about all the different reasons someone might squeeze your hand. To show support and sympathy during tough times, to convey love, to comfort you or themselves in frightening situations. Each of those squeezes says something different, and each one feels a little different. What is our natural instinct when we need to tell someone something but we don't quite have the words for it? We touch them. If your loved one just got exciting news, you're probably saying congratulations, but you're also probably going to pull them into a hug and squeeze them. We might hold hands and jump up and down while squealing. If someone receives sad news, we tend to immediately want to also pull them into a hug and squeeze them and shield them with our bodies and reassure them they're not alone by putting a hand on their shoulder. Touch is not just bonding, it is a form of communication. Now, obviously, our television zombies cannot receive this sort of communication or bonding. Our real world zombies, or NPCs if you like that one better, they can be touched if they will let you. With things like technology and COVID driving us into isolation, some of us are in danger of becoming a zombie. The last few years, y'all, they've just been weird. Now we're all suddenly aware of how dirty everything is and how many germs people carry. Even though things have sort of gone back to normal since COVID, many of us are still keeping our social distance, which is all well and good, but in moderation. We cannot get too comfortable being isolated or alone all the time. If we get too comfortable staying at home, watching the same TV shows over and over, telling people they are wrong on the internet, we lose our skills in socializing and communicating with people face to face. Talking to someone or hugging someone then becomes uncomfortable. And if something is uncomfortable, we'll stop doing it. If we lose our ability or our desire to communicate with people and our ability to be touched and comforted, we lose our sense of community and humanity. The sad truth is that there are some of you here today who know a real-life zombie. Many of us have lost people to political manipulation or to living an unrealistic lifestyle because they want to be internet famous. Some of us know real-world zombies who, for one reason or another, just drop out of society. They don't care about anything, really. They're not concerned about the state of the world or connecting with others. They're not concerned about making the world a better place or even really participating in life. They likely spend their free time at home in their own little universe doing the same repetitive actions because it's what they know and it's where they're comfortable. I said earlier that there were 3 ways zombies can teach us about ourselves. I'm sure there are more than 3, but I wanted to focus on those. However, I think there is a 4th area zombies can teach us, and it's really just kind of a summary of these other 3 points. And this one is comfort. Becoming a real-life zombie comes down to comfort. We've all had situations and moments and times in our lives when maybe our intellect was not at its peak. There are always going to be topics and conversations that you find difficult to talk about. And we've probably all had moments when we did not want to be touched, or maybe we did, but we didn't really communicate that. That's life. But all of these moments were teaching moments. They were and there will be opportunities to grow. But if we get too comfortable with our lack of growth and effort. If we get too comfortable following someone else's orders, and if we get too comfortable being alone, then we run the risk of being a zombie. As long as you are willing to try, you are willing to make an effort to engage with loved ones in your community, you will be safe from the zombie virus. For those of us who have so far managed to avoid being bitten by the zombies, we have a duty to our communities and to the zombies in them. We cannot force the zombies in our lives to change, nor can we make the changes for them, but we can hold space for them, and when they are ready to change, they can. We may not agree with their choices, but we can always reach out a hand anyway. I've noticed that many real-world zombies are antisocial or reclusive. They're probably not going to make an effort to be social, but we can still check in on them and remind them that we care and that there's still a whole world out here that is spinning. Perhaps at some point, your zombie will want to begin to reemerge, come back into society. But even if they don't, we still have an obligation to our communities to try. We are here, and we showed up, and we are engaged. So that means that we are the ones who have to do the work, to put in the effort, to make the sacrifices so that society can move forward in an equitable and progressive way. We also have to try to reach our zombies for our own well-being. Maybe you can't change them, but how are you going to feel about yourself if you don't at least try? No, it's not going to be fun, or easy, or comfortable. Some of the best things in life are not. Growth and opportunity are not often found in our circle of comfort, but a zombie might be. May it be so, and thank you.
Please now rise in body or spirit and sing from the great hymnal, number 321, Here in the Flesh. powerful or better than what we say when we send each other, or the children, on their way after the story for all ages. So my blessing hands to you. You are beloved. You are you are powerful. You are sacred. Go in peace.